Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it too. I'm Bushcon Blitz, and I'm coming to you today from a bit of a different locale than I'm normally running around in. And I'm using my brand new Blue Yeti USB microphone. So hopefully the audio quality will pick it up just a touch. However, I'm actually working out of an office because I have a whole heap of kids screaming around at home doing all kinds of crazy stuff because it's school holidays. So if it sounds a little bit echoey, that's why. You're not in the comfort and supreme privacy of Bushka's bedroom, which is where I record all my other stuff. Now, a few big things have been happening lately. I've just got a new Blue Yeti microphone, but I don't have a pop filter yet. So if you hear any but or put and it's really annoying, I'm sorry about that. We'll fix it up soon. That's first bit. Second bit, I'm giving up on the Mac thing. I'm not going to be playing on a Mac and reviewing videos and such on a Mac for one simple reason. It's a little bit disingenuous. The majority of the player base out there are playing on a handheld device. And while I think that it looks prettier and the quality of the videos is better on a Mac, I don't think it's representative of the player base. So if I'm going to be teaching people who have not played the game before how to play, I want to teach them on a device where the majority of them are going to actually have some kind of commonality. And that's why that's happening. Now, this is a video about side scraping and angling. And I'm going to be using the E100, the IS4, and the E75. Now, I want to get a really quick basic concept out there. For those of you that don't know this, this is important. For those of you that do, just bear with us for 30 seconds. 100 millimeters of armor, straight down the line with a shell coming in at 90 degrees means you have 100 millimeters of armor to pen. That's the easiest way to pen armor is from a flat side shot. When someone angles their armor, then you get a much wider effective armor profile to go through. The same armor takes you 140 millimeters of pen to go through because the distance is larger when the armor is at a slight angle. And that is why you get tanks like the E100 and the E75 who have very flat sides, or at least have sides that are relatively flat, and they are really, really effective at side scraping. Because side scraping is nothing more than hiding the weak points of your tank and showing the strongest armor on your tank, and doing it at all times. And angling, even when it's in an open field, is exactly the same thing, only it's a lot harder to completely minimize weak points, because obviously you can't hide a lower glacis in an open field. There's just nowhere to hide it unless you've got a rock in front of you, or the carcass of a dead tank, or a hill or something like that. But side scraping minimizes this stuff. Now, if you're new to the game, you can use this in any tank. Some tanks are much better at it than others. And that's me side scraping just there in just a brawl. I've side scraped so that Conqueror has to shoot into the really thick armor on the sides of my tank, and he can't see the really weak lower glacis, which he could there because I pushed forward, because there was a waffle tractor coming up my bum, by the way. This mouse is doing just that. He's excellent, in fact, at doing this, and you can see him trolling the hell out of me because I'm using heat and I'm trying to shoot through the very, very thick sides of his turret, and he's trolling me. He's turning the turret a little bit so that I can actually pen it, and then just as I fire, he's guessing and moving the turret back a little bit, jiggling and wiggling and doing really well, and I'm doing the same thing back to him. Now, this is the essence of side scraping. I'm hiding my lower glacis so he can't really get a shot at it, and he's hiding his lower glacis so that I can't really get a shot at his lower glacis. And heat's not the be-all and end-all these days. It's not as good an armor penetrating round as it used to be. It seems like they've actually modeled it correctly. This ST1 is stock, and he's about to get punished for it, which is not really his fault. He's doing his best. He fired HE there because he couldn't penetrate my armor. You'll see side scraping is what I'm doing here. I'm scraping the sides. That's a funny way of saying what I'm doing, which is actually stopping them from seeing the weak points, which is the lower glacis on my armor, and only giving them the very flat sides. Now, it's all well and good for me to use my words to describe this, but how does it really look? Well, I'm going to show you. There's an E100 on the other team here. Now, I've loaded heat up because I can pen him through his cheeks, but the rest of his tank is very, very hard for the E100 to pen. The E100 has low pen AP for its tier. There he goes. He's now side scraping. And he's turning his turret just a little bit so that it's completely at a horrible angle for me to pen. I've got to wait for him to show his cheeks, which is there, before I can penetrate him. And I'm then going to do something which you should probably know about if you are a side scraper. And it's quite handy. I'm resetting my camo. I'm just going back for 10 seconds so that I drop off his radar so that I get a chance to come back and have a shot at him from absolutely ground zero. And you can see there, just missed my shot. My bad, not his. Go for it. He angles his tank. There you go. Are you seeing what I mean by side scraping? Why is this so important? Well, it's really effective in big tanks in corridor fights. Think of the corridor on the side of Fort Despair. That's a great place for a side scraping tank when they're in trouble. Parts of the town in Middleburg, parts of the town here in good old Oasis Palms, parts of the town in Desert Sands, the areas in Temple, all over the place is good for side scraping. Anything that's a building or a rock or a dead tank carcass can be used to side scrape with. And you're going to see this C62A and I having a little bit of a side scrape war. And again, I angled the turret. So all he's getting is really deeply angled sides. He's not getting any easy shots. You've got to make a conscious effort not to over-angle because there is a tipping point where you angle your armor and the increasing armor becomes decreasing armor because it becomes flatter than it actually was. Generally around about 45 degrees, obviously, is going to be where that happens. But to a degree, not many tanks can sustain a 45 degree angle against same tier opponents. So you're generally going to be looking at about little angles like this, which is probably more like 15 degrees. But that's what it takes when you've got a Yag over there that can do massive amount. Now he's setting up for a side scrape, incorrectly pulls too far back, shows me his weak point, and then gets smashed for it. Now, what about when they push on you? Because this is all well and good at range, but when they push, well, you've got to try and hold your angle still. You're angling then, and angling is very different to side scraping in that you can do that anywhere. You don't have to have a wall, but then if you get the opportunity, you go back to a side scrape. You can see I'm side scraping off the side of this wall. I'm keeping my angles relevant off the side of this wall, and I'm still able to output damage even when I'm surrounded by tanks and bounce shots. One last little bit, and then we're going to have a look at an E75 game where I don't do huge damage. I do reasonable damage, but it's about the angles that I'm using, and you're going to see what I'm talking about there when I'm angling. This is an IS-4, great side scraping tank. Other side scraping tanks you may encounter as you go up through the tiers are the T150, the KV3, the KV4. The whole second Russian heavy line is fantastic for this. You can side scrape in the T34, surprisingly, or the T32 to a lesser degree. You can side scrape in most heavy tanks. The Lerva, the Tiger II, although it is a little bit soft. Some tanks are really good for it, some tanks aren't. But be that as it may, the KV5, they all maintain these same basic principles. You find a decent angle that you can't get penned at. You roll forwards, you roll backwards. That is a terrible angle that E100 has there. He's just lucky that I really want to pen this IS-7 more than I want to pen him. And then you move back into it while you reload your gun. When your gun is reloaded, you pull back out and you look for a shot. Can't always get them in. And you try and stay aware on your mini-map and hope that your team actually takes care of the guy coming around the back. Now you can see how important this is, and it's a really easy way to take a simple bit of cover and turn it into an effective part of the game. And you get to do this naturally. You'll see I've pulled out there, there's a Grill 15 or a, Grille 15. Oh God, I've forgotten this again. Everyone barrels on about my pronunciation of this tank. It's torture. There's an E100 there in the grill. I want to get shots on the grill. So rather than come out sideways, I'm going to set up to side scrape the grill. And this is just something that you will get in the habit of doing in IS-4s and really good side scraping tanks. And you can see he's then screwed. He can't get shots in on me that are effective. I'm able to set up a shot really easily. Now I'm going to run you through this very quickly and very slowly because it's important, really important stuff, especially if you're just kicking off the game. So you'll see the grill is ahead of me. There's an E100 there. I don't want to come out sideways and give the grill a shot. I don't want to come out sideways and give the E100 a shot. I point my weak lower glacis and frontal armor of my tank into the rock, and I only show him my very strong side armor, and then I push back into the rock again so that whatever happens now, Even if the E100 comes around the corner, all he's going to see is a very long, flat side of impenetrable armor that is going to wreck him if he comes too far out. That's side scraping. What about angling? Well, angling is something that you tend to do everywhere. Now you can see there's an IS-8 there. He is obviously looking at me, and I'm in an E75. Now, the E75, when angled, is a bit of a beast. Now you can see he tried to hit the top of my hatch there, which is the only real weak point that he could see. And now I'm side scraping off the edges of the temple steps. I'm side scraping because even though there's not a big building there, there is in fact a step that will hide my lower glacis. And the E100 is an exceptionally strong tank. Now there are medium tanks coming up behind me, and I'm left in a very interesting situation. I can either push up and around and have a crack at these guys, or I can get hit in the back. So that's exactly what I do. And again, I angle. I keep angling my tank. And when I'm angling my tank, I'm creating harder to pen hitboxes for those Object 704s and T30s and such. But I have very big, very flat sides. So if they get me in the side, I'm going to get wrecked. And there's two 150mm guns down there. There's a T30 on my right, and there's an Object 704 on the left. So what I'm going to do is put this building on the left-hand side of me. And then I'm going to side scrape off that if necessary to guys on the left, and I'm going to angle off it for guys on the right, and basically do my level best. Objects pull back. The IS-8 is at the back. I'm going to be really aggressive here and move forward. I'm isolating all the time, but if I can kill this E75 while rolling forward and keep going, I can get into cover again. There's the IS-8 at the back in a bit of no man's land. So what I'm going to do is angle towards him, get a shot, hit him through the wall with APCR to make sure I've got enough penetration, because I am going through a wall, and then go around here. Now I'm angling again because I think the T30 is over there somewhere. There we go. And see this angle, always at an angle, about 30 degrees worth of angle, 25 to 30 degrees worth of angle. And I'm showing him exceptionally high armor profiles. The effective armor on my upper plate is going through the roof. It's becoming a red tomato that he just can't get through. And he can't see my lower glacis because I'm hiding it behind the ledges, just like I was hiding it on the temple steps. And I'm wiggling and jiggling, and I'm trying to get this guy over here. We don't scratch him, but we've pushed him back off. The T30's on my right. I still haven't given him an even break. There he is again. He's finally got an angle he can pen. You can see I'm far too far over. Absolutely massively over there. He got weak, flat sides, and I hadn't angled correctly, and that's why he penned me. And that's the real issue you have when doing this. So I hope that was very, very interesting for those of you who have just kicked off the game. I hope for those of you who have been playing for a while that you weren't too bored. I really appreciate all the support, and I love you guys. You're the best, the best, the best. Thanks very much for watching. As always, this was a Patreon-sponsored post. If you want to sponsor the channel, go for it. If not, more the merrier. Tell your friends, tell your family, and look after them. Meanwhile, stay safe on the battlefield.